Literally sent me your training day video like maybe 3 or 4 days before Maria told me about you. It was so crazy because then I had looked at the video. I'll tell this live, but it just blew my mind how that happened. And so I was like, okay, Dr. Sharnael needs to be on here with me asking you questions. We'll have fun. There's so much here that like maybe we could do two. We'll see how it goes and totally up to you. But there's
Right.
a lot, your life is fascinating. My gosh, like there's so much here. I've watched all your videos and I just think that you radiate just beauty. It's awesome. All right, so um, make sure my volume's down so I don't have reverb. Go live on YouTube. Dr. Sharnael, you can hit live, but I think you already did. And then I'm hitting live. And we're rolling. That was very quick. I am here with Ruben Palomares. Did I say your name right?
Yes, she did.
Okay, good. And Dr. Sharnael, who I've had on the show before, she is here for like total serendipity. It's just awesome. So I have to tell everyone this story before we get rolling. Dr. Sharnael sends me this video, and it's like this real life training day. So anyone that doesn't know what Training Day is the Denzel Washington movie that is just amazing and yet creepy about a officer that gets caught up in this web. It's almost like a very, very deep demonic web of darkness of this one officer who'd gone down the wrong road, and how in one day he goes from being a really, really, really good guy to being set up and bribed and abused, and it's just nuts. Well, Ruben's life literally parallels this. And I never even really got to why Dr. Sharnael sent it to me. But what's so wild is I watched 3 minutes of it, got interrupted, and then a couple days later Maria Farmer goes, oh my gosh, you've got to meet this guy Ruben. And I was like, oh, send me information. So she sends me the same video. I don't even recognize it because I look at so many videos per day, and I look and I was like, I've already watched 3 minutes of this video. Who sent me this video? Someone just sent me this video. So anyway, I'm so excited to have you both here. And so I'm going to start with Dr. Sharnael though, and then we'll go into Ruben because you're going to be the highlight of the day. Dr. Sharnael, why did you send me this video?
Yeah, why?
Honestly, just totally fascinated. Someone had sent it to me, and of course I did watch the actual movie. And I'm all about good stories, good people coming out and explaining what's going on, and looking always for actual content for my show. And this is just so intriguing for me. And like you, I watched the first 3 minutes and I was like, holy cow, so I immediately was like, I got to send this to you because what do you think? What do you think? And just getting your feedback, because I truly love you and adore you. And I can't believe you got him to come. I'm so excited, Ruben. Thank you for taking time to be with us today. And I can't wait. I'm just ready to dive in and see what all we're going to talk about. This is going to be awesome.
Yay. Well, and what's so funny is
Thank
I
you.
didn't get him first. Maria sent him. God sent him. Maria
Yeah.
Farmer is like, oh my gosh, Carmen, the nicest man. You've got to meet him. You've got to meet him. And so, so thank you, Maria Farmer, for sending this amazing man to both Dr. Sharnael and I. And hopefully you'll visit Dr. Sharnael's channel as well, because your story is so amazing. And one of the things that I want to start with is I get so much criticism from the very Pollyanna type people. Nothing wrong with them. I used to be a very Pollyanna person. But what happens, I think, with Pollyanna people is they're not trained to know who the enemy is. And I'm not saying to dive so deep in that the enemy becomes worshipped, but let's at least know the enemy, because then innocent people don't get taken in. Because when I heard your story, I was like, I so see how he got sucked in by street justice. And
Yes.
so let's start from the very, very beginning. I want to, if we have to, we'll do a part two with you, because I really think that this is such an important piece, because so many beautiful, naive, and I'm not saying you're naive, but this in the spirit, that beautiful, naive, loving spirit gets sometimes, taken away. Oh, he's in an area with, oh, there he goes.
They come back?
Yep, there you
Okay.
are. So let's start with your childhood, because I would like to know, kind of usually what happens is people get in the situations they end up in because of their childhood. So if there's anything relevant back there, I would love for you to share that piece.
I did grow up in LA, and I grew up in an environment where there's a lot of, I guess, drugs, violence, gangs, negativity. And I steered free from all that because I knew that that's not something I wanted to be involved in. And I know the future when you get involved stuff with that kind of stuff. But I also grew up in a home where I had a stepdad who he had a drinking problem. He was angry, always violent, and the violence and the anger he took that on me a lot. So it caused me to become an angry kid too. Well, I pretty much didn't like. I got bullied by him in a sense. I allowed the bullying because I thought he's my. I didn't know he was my stepdad. He's my dad. I guess he wants to correct me. I think that's the way he thinks he has to do it. But it still was causing me to become a hardy little kid, and I didn't put up with nonsense in the street with people because I couldn't take any type of disrespect growing up because of that. That was a trigger of mine. Yeah. So I always stood up for myself. I always would stand up and fight or go after the bullies and not let bullies take advantage of other people in school. So I had that attitude, like nobody's gonna be punking me around or bullying me.
Yeah. And if you can you just clean the lens on your phone, because I think it got humid or something.
It's because I have to get out of the rain. That's why I'm outside in this rain.
Yeah, that would be good. And so yeah, that's a typical profile of somebody who begins to become a fighter. A lot of my guys, he just jumped up, but we'll keep talking. A lot of the guys that I worked with out of jail, they were very big into that respect thing. And it's funny because it was almost a trigger point, like, well, that isn't even respect. I'm just talking about being nice. Let's just break it down a little bit more. But so I've watched a lot of his videos, and until he comes back, I'll share with people that his stepfather never really. There he is. Yay. His stepfather really wasn't there for him, and then he now has to be there for himself. He has to be that fighter, so to speak. And then what happened to you as far as, going from kind of neglected by your family, and then how did you cope with that?
Well, growing up, I always that distance from my family because I had 10 brothers and sisters, and I always felt like I was a big brother and the protector of my brothers and sisters. So I've never felt like I had to take my dad's place.
Yeah.
So I like to take my dad's place because he was.
I can't hear you. If you can hear me, Ruben, I can't hear you. We had you up until a second ago. And you know what, Ruben, if you can hear me, you can just leave the camera off and just let all of the power go to the audio. So that way we can hear you. The most important thing is that we can hear you. If he can hear me. I'm going to text him real quick. Dr. Sharnael, you want to add anything that you know about him so that people aren't just sitting here? Oh, now I lost you too.
Okay, I'm here. Yeah, I would just
there you are. Okay.
Encourage people to check him out and to look at some of his information.
Oh, he accidentally muted himself. That's what happened. Asked to unmute.
Okay.
I'm gonna fix this.
Oh, there you go. You got it, Ruben. Okay, so oh, he had it for a second. Oh, all right. So I'm going to tell him just to get on audio. Don't worry about it. Sorry, everyone. Sometimes this is just what happens. It's going to be worth the wait. It's so fascinating to me, his story, and it's such a typical story of, how I think the spiritual world operates. Kids or parents or uncles or people will teach people how to protect themselves in the natural, like don't let somebody punk you, stand up to bullies, da da da. But nobody ever tells somebody, well, I mean, I shouldn't say nobody, but most people don't share with their children what being punked in the spirit is, right? And being punked in the spirit can destroy your life. It can put you in jail. It can put you in a grave. It can, it's really
Are
amazing. Yay,
we
he's
back?
back. Okay, this is perfect. Just do this where we just have you audio,
Okay,
because I
perfect.
think that's going to work better. So I was just sharing with people that kids are taught not to be bullied, but they're never taught not to be, or not never. I hate when I do that, but they're usually not taught that there can be spiritual bullies, that there's demonic, you know, portals and ways of opening that up. And so let's go from where you were protecting your family. How did that turn into boxing? And then where did boxing turn into police officer?
So because I grew up in an environment where people like to, you use that word earlier, respect or disrespect too. They don't respect in some areas where you grow up. There's gonna be people trying to push your buttons or see how far they can get over you. And I grew up in an environment where I fought a lot. I always had to fight because I stood up for myself. I didn't agree with people trying to disrespect me or take advantage of someone. So I knew that if I wanted to take care of myself, I needed to know how to fight. So I started doing karate at 10, and then the next thing you know, I started liking. I was more like intrigued with boxing, so I went to the Hollenbeck Youth Center in Boyle Heights, East LA, and I joined the boxing gym there. I started liking the art itself. I started liking the art itself, of learning how to defend yourself and how to block punches, how to punch, and then it felt good hitting somebody, not getting in trouble. It started helping me. It started helping me. I guess you could say release a lot of frustration or anger, and it was good. So I started directing that towards the boxing and became more passionate for the sport. And I started really liking the art a lot. Where I started pursuing to go to the Olympics.
Yeah, you were really good. So you also were Golden Gloves champion in like 1985, 1986. Is that correct?
86. Yeah, I went. I
86.
fought the Golden Gloves. 85 and 86. I fought the Golden Gloves. I fought diamond belt tournaments. I won some big tournaments, but then my passion was to go to the Olympics. That's what I really wanted to do in '92. And I was in the boxing team, and I sparred with De La Hoya, Shane Mosey. Those guys were all boxing and coming up at the same time. So we'd spar together, train together. I ended up getting injured before the '92 Olympics, which is a tournament. It was the box odds were like in '91. I needed to fight this tournament before I could go to the trials. I broke my thumb and I got a ear and throat infection. So I was down and I couldn't fight that tournament, which was going to exclude me out of the team, which was
Right, right.
a bummer because
Yeah,
I
no,
trained.
that's a huge bummer.
It
It's
was I
like
trained hard. Go ahead, sorry.
no, you're good. There's a little delay, so I thought you were done too. I was going to say it's very similar to a lot of NFL players or, any type of professional athlete. When it ends, it's they grieve that. It's a big deal.
For sure, and that's what happened to me. But I had a game plan. I had a plan B because I thought, even in my boxing career, I thought if I get the gold, I turn pro, I can get a championship, retire, and still work with kids and be a mentor and be a cop. Well, since I didn't go to the Olympics, I just said, I'm not going to get too caught up with the boxing right now because I'm not trying to invest more time into it and then get injured, stay injured, and then who's going to take care of my bills? Nobody's going to take care of me. So my next step was to go to the police academy, take the test.
Right.
I took my first test and I passed it. And then from there, I went to the next step. I just kept taking every test that came along till I got to the background check. And about 11 months later, I get hired by the police department.
Congratulations. And then you
Thanks.
were young, you were like 22 years old, and you immediately went into like that 21 Jump Street type job where you were posing as a high school student, right?
Yes, I was. I was put back into 11th grade at 22, 23 years old. I looked young, and I had to fit the role. I had to dress the role. I had to talk the role. It was like an acting job. I had to become an actor and
Yeah.
fit in. I had to fit in. I had to uh, interact with the kids and get to know who's using drugs, who's selling drugs, who's smoking pot, so I could get to start buying drugs. My job was to find out where they're getting the drugs from, who's supplying them the drugs. It's just a undercover unit that, I mean, I think back to it now. I think sometimes those units are more a waste of money and time and tax dollars, because you're putting yourself out there, risking your life for some little simple arrest of a misdemeanor for a kid. You're really risking your life for something that's, I don't really think it's worth it.
I agree with you. And you know what's interesting too? So my daughter and some of the guys out of jail, I got them involved in acting. And there's a thing called method acting where you literally become the person, and you're taking that to another level. And I've seen, I personally believe there's people who have died from choosing to play this role. And so it's a very dangerous thing that that they're asking a 22-year-old brand new cop to get involved in my personal opinion. And so you were very successful there, right? And so then they're like, okay, this guy is really amazing. Where do you go next?
So after that unit, I went back to, well, I was still in the unit for a couple months. I did my undercover buys. I don't know if I told you, I got in the first shootout doing undercover. I
Okay,
got
let's talk
shot.
about that because yes, I was like, okay, this happened in a phone booth, which I think is so 80s or 90s of you.
Very 90s back then, yeah. Early
Right?
90s.
Because we didn't have phones, we had pagers, and so tell everybody what happened, what your first shooting, how old were you and what happened in this phone booth?
I was 23. I was gonna call one of the kids. I was gonna sell me some PCP. I was gonna call. He paged me, so I was gonna call him on the payphone. Yes, you need money to use those payphones. And I called him up, and we arranged it so that he can take the drugs to school the next day, which was going to be $80 worth of PCP. So after we set up the deal, during that time on the phone with him, that's when I get approached by two guys that are walking down the street. One guy puts a gun to my stomach and starts demanding my wallet. I have a gun and I have my wallet in my back pocket, but it's got my badge and my police ID. So I already knew that if I let him get close to my stuff, he's gonna find it. He's still gonna probably shoot me. So my whole game plan was don't let him get to my back pocket or my rear waistband, because that's where I have my gun. But the guy kept jabbing me with his gun to my stomach, and the other guy was to my left, going to my front pockets. And the more they insisted for my wallet, the more I tried to distract him and tell him, I don't have a wallet, but you can have my car keys, you can have my money, whatever you want, but I don't have a wallet. And the guy kept getting pushing, insisting, and telling me, you better give me your wallet, I'm gonna kill you. And I just kept saying, well, I don't have one. And I said, well, my cars, take my car keys. At that point in time, I realized the guy was being stubborn. He didn't want to take no. I hit his friend, a backhanded his friend, and I grabbed the guy's gun. As I grabbed the guy's gun, I turned it to him, the barrel, but he's got both hands on the grip. So I'm trying to fight for the gun with one hand, and I'm trying to. We go to the ground, we fall. I'm trying to block the other guy's kicks with my other hand. So as we're doing that, the guy's able to pull the gun away from me with both of his hands, and he stands over me with the gun pointed towards my head. As I see that, instant reaction was to grab his friend's leg and throw him over me and use him as a shield. As I stood up, he starts firing at me and he hits both of my legs. I turn around and fire at him and hit him. I chase him and shoot him. But at that time, everything just kicked in. The adrenaline was kicking in. The I'm gonna kill you attitude kicked in. I mean, yeah, I got hit, but I wasn't thinking about being shot. I thought about, I'm not gonna let this guy get away with it. And I didn't, my wounds, I saw the bullets go right through my legs because everything got so slow. I could see the barrel flash, the flash of the gun as a bullet comes out of his barrel, and I could see it coming towards my leg, and I see everything slow. So I see it go through my leg, and all I'm saying is, "You mother FF," because I wasn't a Christian back then. I was just cussing up a storm. So all I could think about is everything's so slow. I pull my gun out and I just start firing at him. As I'm firing at him, I can see the bullets hitting him. But the guy doesn't go down. They turn a corner, and their driver picks him up and takes him to the hospital. I on the phone and call him. and they show up and they treat me. They throw in the ambulance. They check my legs, and then they comes through and through, right leg and left leg, two different bullets. And the beauty of this bullet wound, I believe they're perfectly placed because they didn't hit no femur artery, they didn't hit no bone, they didn't damage no nerve,
Wow.
they just hit the muscles, and it could have been worse. But I know God was looking out for me, even though I wasn't serving Him back then. But He protected me because those bullets could have hit me anywhere else, and I was able to recover. Physically, I recovered fast. Now, emotionally, psychologically, I didn't know what was going to happen because of that shooting. A lot of stuff started happening to me inside. Mostly psychologically, it started messing with me a lot. But that's during the time when nobody talks about PTSD doesn't exist. The word doesn't exist. The trauma exists. The shell shock. All that
Right.
stuff don't talk about. But nobody talks about it because you're a tough guy. You're supposed to be tough, macho, suppress, and be the guy that everybody looks up to. And that's what I was. I wasn't. The department gave me like a Medal of Valor for that shooting. It kind of looked good in my package. I liked it. I liked the ego. I liked the image because people do respect you, and us men are about respect. And I was already building a status for my career as a police officer, as a gunslinger, and I really liked that image back then.
Yeah. And so when you started like holding that rage in, or those feelings or whatever it was that was in there, could you tell at all that you were having, what we now call PTSD, and just not telling anyone? Or were you just acting out as like, I've got this valor, I'm the hero? Or maybe
Um,
both.
I think it was a little bit of both, but nobody knew. I was
Right.
hiding that stuff, but I had this. I became tougher and hardened, more alert, more like survival tactics. As a tactical cop, martial artist, I just pissed off that I got shot, and I thought to myself, I dropped the guard. I should have been more aware, more alert. I started condemning myself for what happened, which I should have been thankful that I survived it, and thank God, but I wasn't thankful. I was more mad that I didn't do more or catch it before it happened. So yeah, that started tormenting me, but it caused me to want to get involved in more shootings. Like I had a trigger, an adrenaline, and I wanted that fix. I needed that fix. So it was something I was chasing. So I left that unit, and I went to Rampart Division. Rampart Division is a small 8-mile area of nothing but gangs from all over the place. From every corner, there's gangs and drugs and violence, extortions, robberies, rapes, you name it, murders. That's all you see there. And I worked that division. I wanted that division because I wanted to be in the action, and I eventually wanted to promote to SWAT. So my goal was, I got to be in the busy division so I could be recognized and get promoted to SWAT when it's time to get promoted. So I
Yeah.
went to Rampart Crash. No, I was
So
in Rampart
Sharnael, jump
first.
in anytime you have questions too. So I don't want to like
Yes.
take over.
Yeah, no, I'm just amazed because I'm thinking about what I was doing at 22, and I'm like, to imagine the amount of quick decisions and reflex with wisdom and really important decision making for such, I mean, really huge life-threatening situations. I mean, that is a lot to put on a person, and I mean, and just scary, not to mention scary. I mean, anyway, kudos to you. Keep going, please.
Yeah. And then the
Thank
other
you.
thing that I would love to interject too is just for everyone, just anyone that's listening, because I know that there's a few Navy SEALs that I work with that it's not Michael Jaco, but he does stop in here too. But they watch, and anytime anyone feels any torment, I love that you use that word, because it truly is so indicative of the signature of the enemy. um, Anytime you're feeling torment of any kind, that's when you need to begin taking better care of yourself, figuring out where you are mentally and emotionally, and all that. And so this is where this is where you get named the real life training day. Anyone who has not seen that movie, it's an excellent movie. I think you would love it. I highly recommend it. Um, but to understand the place that he's been put in. It's literally like saying, here, I'm going to take you, man of valor, and I'm going to put you in Satan's ley line. That's the most intense ley line in all of the LA area, right?
Yes, true.
So tell us a little bit about like the average stuff. Like they don't have to be your experiences, but what are some of the things that go on there? And as a side note, I would love for you to be looking at it from a like witchcraft, satanic, demonic level of an assessment, looking at it hindsight.
Okay, well, good point, because that's there all the time. There's MS-13 and 18th Street are big gangs there, and they do work with witches. They have witches who do curses and spells and do all that stuff for people there, and they're territorial spirits too in that area. But you know, when I wasn't in tune to the spiritual stuff back then, I was more like just uh, gunslinger violence, putting down the guys, the bad guys. Well, in that area, there's a lot of extortions. People that own their little businesses trying to make a little living. The gang members extort them. Drug dealers that sell drugs in that area that aren't from the gang, they get extorted. They have to pay rent. Their little corn vendors, they get extorted. If you sell ice cream in the block, you get extorted. You're going to pay rent. You're going to pay 30% to the gang's protection for whatever the case may be. In the parks in that area, corners in that area selling. They used to sell a lot of, in every corner they had, one corner had cocaine, the other corner had heroin, the other corner had rock cocaine, the other corner had weed, you name it. Every corner had different drugs from, and every neighborhood was running their own program. But then there was killings every day. Nothing new. You go to work, you're gonna hear drive-by shootings, you're gonna see dead bodies. It was a normal thing for me in the 90s. It was wars, gang wars was ongoing every day. So you're always gonna be in pursuit of a shooting, or you're gonna go arrest somebody that just killed somebody because of a drive-by, or an innocent bystander got killed, and you were there, you arrested a gang member. That was normal for us. We could be driving, we hear gunshots, we drive through, we see a guy on the floor bleeding out, we can't stop, we got to go chase the guy that just shot him, and we got to call for help on that guy, and we're just chasing the car that just shot him, and we're seeing guns being thrown out the window, and the pursuit is on. We don't know if they're going to shoot at us. And it just adrenaline. It was excitement. It was, for me, I enjoyed that stuff. I liked the rush of it. But again, like you said, the torment is there, but you're gonna try to reverse it to use it to your advantage. The inner monster, the inner push of the adrenaline, the courage, the bravery comes out. You kind of push through any time of hesitation or fear. You push right through it, and you lose it. You lose that fear of death. You lose that fear of shootings. You just lose it. You're in it, like you just jump in head first, because that's what you need. That's what you're thinking. That you're trying to give yourself that fix.
Wow. And so yeah, you're not the first person that I've heard about the MS-13s and how they have witches and how they use them to get certain things accomplished, which is so frightening to me. Go ahead and pop in here,
Well,
Sharna.
I want to know more about that, because this is the first I'm hearing that. So can you expand on that a little bit? Like, do they meet up? Are they on the phone?
Yeah,
Like what, like, do
they
they
meet
meet up
up.
with you? Like, what does that even look like?
The witches.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so they have the botanic booth in the streets right there in that area, and they have a witch working there. So these guys will go in there, and they'll,
Did you say a booth?
like
Botanical
but
booth.
they call them botanical booth, but it's a store. It's a little store.
Oh, okay.
So they go in. The gang members go in there, and they tell them, "I need you to do a curse for this person for whatever. If a person's gonna go to court on me, we want you to put a curse on this person." So they go through this ritual to put a curse on the person, or this person is doing stuff that we want to find out what's going on. They go to the witches, but then the witches also curse cops, because a witch, unbeknown to me, I found that out afterwards. When I was working the gang unit, this lady who was a witch, I had no idea she was a witch then. She gave me, cops like the St. Michael's angel. They all have the
Yes.
little emblem. They have the chain. They have the prayer, the tattoo of St. Michael, because they say that's the top guardian angel. That's what we think, right?
Right.
Well, this lady knew that, so she gave me a stack of St. Michael's cards, but they were cursed. I didn't know they were cursed.
Yep. So be
I
careful
s-
about that. That there's two things there that I wanted to share with people. This is legitimately happening on our streets in what looks like a flower shop, right?
mhm.
And what's the second thing, and this is something that Jesse has taught all of us, when people give you a gift, pray over it and make sure that whatever is on it is off of it. Or
Yes.
just be careful who you accept gifts from. You know, make
Mm,
sure that they're someone you love.
don't take it. Mhm.
Yep. Yep.
Because they are doing that. They do that in other countries too. When you show up as a missionary or someone's going to go to another country to go help or preach or whatever you're going to do up there, and they might send this nice little kid or old lady to give a gift. It's a cursed gift, and you're going to go home with it. You're going to bring a demon to your house, and now the demon
Yep.
is going to harass your relationship. If things are going to happen, you're going to have to break it, renounce it, and repent of
Yes.
it.
Yes.
But
Yeah. And the great news is we win because Christ covers that. But I just want
that's right.
people to be aware of it. So I also would love for you to share how prevalent this is. Let's say there's how many gang members are usually in a gang? Is it 20? Is it 50?
Oh
I mean, how
no,
many?
Two, the numbers are you can never name them because every gang has no number a big amount of numbers. Some could have 1,000, 800, 300, 100, 200, depending on the gang and the area, and they're also cliques. So if you have a MS or 18th Street, they have their gang
Sub
has
clicks.
sub clique like a tree with branches. So
Yeah.
you have them all over the place and they're spread out. They could have 50 in one block. They could have
Oh, lost you for a second.
they're all over the place.
Oh, there you are.
They're big numbers.
Okay, so this is so fascinating to me. So then let's say, do you think each one of them is into witchcraft?
For the most part, I would give it 85% of them are
So
because even
think
the
about this.
cartels.
Yeah. Think about how prevalent this is, guys. I really want this to like this is in our country. This is in our cities. This is in our suburbs. So let's say there's 1,000, all of them are referring to, or 80% if it's according to him, 85% of them have their go-to witch. And
Yes,
so this is really, really, really prevalent. And they are cursing people. And there's a former pastor that you can look for. Shoot, I forgot his name though. But if you look up former pastor, demonic general, you probably find him. And he was the one that kind of opened my eyes to this. But think about how many witches that is to work in this system. And it's basically, you know, Ruben, they should have said, they should have said in the job description, looking for a young man with an innocent, beautiful heart who
Oh,
was just looking for love, that's talented in a lot of areas of boxing and you know, uh, protective things to go to hell. Literally, you were
yeah,
working in hell on earth.
yes, I was.
Would you have
And
taken that job if you'd have known up front?
if I knew that was going to happen,
No,
I
if you
mean,
knew how evil it was, that like that you were literally being going to be put into this 8 mile like fertile ground for hell.
right now as a non-Christian, I would have believed in all that stuff. I would have said, I don't care. I got my 45. I'm here. I'm gonna shoot it out with whoever. But as a
That's so
believer,
good. That's so good. That's true. That's true.
I would have still got in there as a believer to pray and cast out the spirits in that area, fast and pray for that as a believer, and I still would have did the job as a
All
believer.
right. I love
But
it.
not afraid of that stuff because I know who got my back and my
Yeah.
authority. I know my authority too, so it would have been double authority: the police authority and the authority that comes from Jesus, big authority.
Yeah, you would have really made a mark for sure. And so now we'll go into what I call Satan's slide. So here we take this beautiful young man who's accomplished with valor, and then there's this slide that you went down, and the beginning of it is the PTSD, right? And then what comes next?
So I and again, I'm not gonna blame anything. I'm gonna take ownership of my own choices because when I did have stuff, if I was, I guess I don't know, more humble, more wise, whatever, I would have probably got help. I didn't get help because I was too either scared to ask for help or thinking that's not the right thing. Men don't get help. Just too many different dumb lies in my head that were circling in my mind that wouldn't allow me to take that step to believe that I needed help. So I just acted out on whatever was going on inside me. So when I was dealing with the PTSD, I was also dealing with a lot of anger, unforgiveness, resentment, and you could say retaliation. I was very, very revengeful. So if anybody did me dirty, or I felt that betrayed me, I would always have to get back at them, get even, or no, not get even, get above even, past even. Not an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth. It was more than that, beyond that. So as a officer, when I started thinking that the department personnel, the management, sometimes they'll do certain things that upsets you, and you start holding it against them. So for me, I was looking at them as my enemies. My management became my enemies too. Management and the streets, gangs were my enemies now. So I was like, well, forget everybody. This is not gonna be. I'm not gonna be able to do my job the way I want to. Management's trying to control me how to do my job when I'm the one that's getting myself shot or shootings, getting myself dirty because of the stuff I'm involved in. I have to do my job my way to survive. And through the course of time, one of our co-workers got in trouble. Rafael Perez got in trouble for stealing some cocaine from the property evidence locker. We
Yes,
didn't
but
know.
let's hold on, because isn't he the actual one that Denzel Washington's character was modeled after?
Yes and no, because
Oh, okay.
that unit is that unit that Denzel Washington portrays. I worked that unit. He worked that unit. That unit is also an undercover narcotics unit. I worked that unit too for 6 months.
Oh, okay.
And so did Perez. It's a unit that's been you get loaned out to the unit to work for a few months, and your job is to also go do undercover work, but you're doing just like the movie. You're hitting informants up, you're hitting houses where the drugs are being sold. You're addressing all the narcotics complaints from the area.
Yeah.
But
And is it true that they actually really have like a certain ring that they wear, or a certain ink that they have, like tattoos?
the
Or
tattoo's
is that just
true.
from the movie?
No, the tattoo's true. That stuff is real. That happens. It's a
Okay.
structured elite unit that's pretty much you could say very coveted and secret.
What are the
Secret.
tattoos?
It's a
What?
skeleton with the number 2 on the hat, and then it's got the cards, the dead man's hand cards, the aces and eights, because the dead man's hand is the story of Wild Bill Hickok.
Because
He
what?
was It's the story of Wild Bill Hickok. He was a gunslinger back in the who knows what years, 1500 or
Oh, that
something.
because it's like a cowboy hat on the skull, right?
Yeah, yes. I'll send you the little. Um, I'll Google it. I'll
Picture.
send it to you. Yeah. So
Okay, cool.
let me do it right now while we talk. So this is what they used to tattoo, and what it was is when
It's
you
just
got you got it when you got initiated into if you did something like you get in a shootout, pretty much you get the tattoo.
right.
Depending on what happened in the shootout. I'm gonna
Right.
send it to you
And
right
so
now.
it's almost literally like a secret society within the department.
Yes. So
Okay.
I'm gonna send it now.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
trying to get it. I
Thanks.
got it right here.
Yeah.
And you can post it. So this is a tattoo. This was an emblem, but then people get tattoos out of that.
Yeah. Um,
I think I just sent it to your text.
text message. Okay, perfect. And I'm just going to be able to
Yeah.
show people via the phone because um, I like to keep my computer private. If I'd have known I was doing it, I would. But so
There
can
it
you see
is.
that, Sharnael?
I was looking. Oh yeah. I was seeing if you were
Okay,
texting.
cool. Okay,
So
cool.
that's you get the tattoo after something. It's like you earned it basically. You earned the tattoo.
Right. And so it says Rampart Crash, which is is a acronym, right, for
Yes.
something.
Crime resources against street hoodlums, something.
Crime resources against.
Against street hoodlums.
Wow.
Hoodlums.
And then it looks like there's a couple of aces of spades,
Yes.
which is a Freemason symbol, I'm pretty sure.
Hmm.
Well, that's
And
oh, sorry. It's a dead man's
no,
hand
you're
symbol.
oh, dead
So,
man's hand.
so
Okay.
while Bill Hickok was a gunfighter, and one day he was playing cards, and somebody came from behind him and shot him in the back of the head, and he died with those cards in his hand.
Got it.
If you Google
Wow.
if you Google Dead Man's Hand story on Wild Bill, it'll tell you the whole story.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to do that. I love learning stuff like this. It's so fun.
So we're
And so,
gunslingers.
yeah, and so there's a dark side to this inner circle, and it's kind of like once you've killed someone, once you've had gunfire, once whatever, it's kind of like your initiation into the crew.
It's something to do with, well, yeah, it's more like you're not an inch. It's when it happens, it happens. When the shootout
Right.
happens, you just got into it. You were in the right place at the right time, and the guy tried to shoot you. You shot him. You made you survived the shooting. It's like basically saying, "Great job, you survived it."
Right. Right. Using
And
the dead man as an example.
yeah, because now you're a now you're a gunslinger. Yeah, you
Right.
basically as a
Got it.
gunfighter, and you have that frame of mind, the macho gunslinger mentality, because that's like the cowboy days. So that's the mentality you have, and it seems that that's what really happens, because in the area we worked, there was always so much violence that you knew that eventually it might happen again. You might get to a shootout.
Oh, I can't imagine being, did anyone ever get out of that job and not get shot at?
Yeah, I've
Probably
actually
not.
met some that survived
Oh,
it.
you
Most,
have? Wow.
but I think they were working the desk. That's why.
Maybe their inner soul is very smart.
That
Okay,
too. They were.
there's a couple more Denzel questions I have too, and Rafael Perez. When he was arrested, there were 70 other officers also arrested or indicted, right? Is that correct?
Yes, that's
And
correct.
then 58 of those ended up guilty, right?
Wow.
I can't recall right now how many were
Okay.
guilty, but I know there was some that were, and some sued the department and made the money. So it's a big old cluster, because I didn't keep tabs on everybody, but I know that they did indict a few and arrested a few. Some did time.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Which is, yeah, that's just another thing. Is there a swagger? So, like, you know how there's certain jobs that like people have swagger, like lifeguards think they're super cool because they are, right? And then
Yeah.
pilots, they're really cool, or military guys that do really really cool things with helicopters and blah blah blah. Is there an arrogance? Because one of the scenes that stood out to me was when Denzel Washington is literally in the middle of an intersection having a conversation with this guy, and he's got what you call that killer smile, which I want to talk about that too. But he's just
Yeah.
literally in the middle of the intersection. Nobody can go anywhere, and people are honking at him, and he literally doesn't care. Is that the kind of bravado that you have to be somebody that's in that world?
Pretty much, because you're dealing with the worst of the worst, and they have to know that you're about it. That you're not intimidated. You're ready for it too. Whenever things have to happen, you're ready for it. You're not afraid, and they have to understand that too, because they have to respect you. The neighborhood, the gangs, they have to respect you. Even if you do your job, you still have to know that you to have that respect from them, and you give them the same respect, but you also know that you have to call the shots, basically.
Right.
And you know that it's risky. That they could try to snipe you and shoot you, but you have to understand that this is what you signed up for.
Right. And is it true that, how he says in the movie, narc agents mostly they have narcs in their blood, or they have drugs in their blood. Is that a thing that like they almost have to participate in drugs to do that?
Not all the time, but there's times where I'm gonna say 90% you might have to participate, and most likely if you don't, you're gonna get either they're gonna make you gonna be made as your cop, or you're gonna shoot you, or something can happen. They're not gonna trust you. You're gonna be out of that. You're not gonna be able to buy drugs.
So
Yeah,
how,
you might have to smoke some weed. Hmm?
but some of the bigger drugs, like how do people not get addicted and what have you? I mean, I get that if you're put in that position, then you don't want to look like you're, trying to get anyone in trouble or be a rat or maybe look suspicious. But I mean, can't that lead to other problems? Obviously, that could lead
It
to.
can, but your life's on the line. You're not gonna care. You're gonna think about your life because you're trying to infiltrate big. If you're trying to infiltrate big things like a biker gang or big cartel, whatever, if you're trying to really infiltrate, you have to just be that actor and lose your role as a human being, because you're not going to be that. You lose your identity as a cop. You become that person that you're supposed to be playing the role of, or else you're dead, or else don't even do that job. So why it's a risk, but most of the time you might be put in a spot where you might have to use some drugs. And every undercover cop story is different. You could interview. I have friends that are in DAs and different stuff. It's a risky job. Undercover work it's a risky job. It really does mess with your identity. It messes with you because you have to become that person.
How do you
And
do
it's
how do you do that if you have a family, like where you go to your job and then go home and like
yeah,
be
that's
a normal dad, husband, you know what I mean? Like that has got to be so like messed up in your head to have to, if any, I mean, or most of these people, were you single
Single?
or were you married or are people, what's the situation?
well, some people are single, some people are dating or married, but it does mess up. It does mess with your home life. It does mess with your home life. I
Yeah.
was back then. I was married, and I ended up separating and divorcing the mother of my daughters, my son. But I think it was more so because just overall everything. I think they have to be supportive, understanding too, because the job isn't something that is easy. Because especially if you're doing something that's putting your life on the line,
Yeah.
you're thinking about survival. So yeah, there's a lot of pros and cons.
Well, and not to mention kind of putting your family at risk if anyone followed you or you went home and then
Yes,
your
a lot
house,
of that
your
stuff.
kids, there's so much and then the secrecy of like not telling your wife what's happening and just having to live like literally a double life, right?
Yeah. For real.
You're living a double life, and that's what it's really. I mean, sorry, but it sucks because I don't think it's worth it. I
Yeah,
don't.
no, I agree with you. I agree. And I also don't, I think that there's got to be other ways to do this. Like we're really going at it the wrong way. But
I agree.
so another thing that I have a question about is the Denzel Washington character and you being or that movie and you from your opinion, not other people's. Do you identify with that movie?
I do in some parts. I mean, I really do in actually a lot of parts because I worked that unit. I worked that unit just like he did in the movie. I worked that unit for 6 months, and that unit, I saw that movie and I said, man, that's the unit I worked. Exactly that same role. You're dealing with the narcotics, your informants, and there's so much stuff, so much temptation, and so much of everything. And the neighborhoods, the streets. You're working the streets. You're working the gangsters. It's you got informants in neighborhoods. You have informants as gang members who are your informants, but that's how you survive. That's how you hustle. That's what you do. So yeah, I could identify a lot with that movie.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Uh,
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, maybe this has already been talked about, but I was wondering how they even got the information to do this movie. Like, did they consult with you or other people, like about to get inside information to even, was this based on specific people that or did
It
you meet these people?
I don't know. I honestly think that they talked to some of our guys because it's just too
Eerie.
yeah,
Yeah,
too
and he does kind of look like the way they did Denzel and stuff. He kind of really favors that Rafael
he does.
Perez.
He does. And I
Yeah.
think they could have talked to Perez. He never but Perez ain't gonna say nothing, but it could have been because Perez was also in that unit too.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
This is just crazy.
And so there was one point in the movie where he howls like a wolf almost. Is
I
that a
remember.
thing? Is that a thing? Is there some sort of wolf thing with this?
No, I think that's just
That
everybody
was just
has
for the
their
movie.
own their model. Well, people say that you're to be a wolf, you got to catch a wolf, you got to be a wolf. I don't really believe that junk. I believe that to catch any type of prey, you have to be a hunter, and I'm a hunter. I believe that a hunter can catch any prey out there. So that movie, that part must have been his own little line that
Okay.
he came up with.
Yeah. And so your unit was different than his.
Yeah,
And let's talk about like where it started slipping down. And it's so funny too, because right when I was going to ask that, somebody in the chat wrote, not enough money to do that. But
no,
let's talk about even before that happened, where the street justice really kicked in for you, because I think that was where you opened the portal a little bit
a
more.
lot more. Yes.
Yeah, I was being
So
gracious.
so what happened is so what happened was I started becoming real connected with a lot of the victim and citizens because I started getting complaints from the victims that they got robbed by this individual from one of the gangs, and another family member down the street got robbed at gunpoint, and they're scared to press charges because they're intimidated and they're threatened that if they say something they're going to get killed. So my street justice was, well, this guy's dirty wanted for robberies at gunpoint, why not grab him and put some dope on him and get rid of him?
Oh,
So that's where my street justice started coming in.
Okay, so it
It's,
started out with putting dope on someone.
yeah,
Yeah. And this is the thing that's just like, oh, it's heart-wrenching when you're watching this movie because Ethan Hawke's like starts out with this just he's so pure and beautiful and he wants to do it for the right reasons and the way that Denzel switches up his personality too, how one minute he's smiling at him and the next
yeah.
minute like that smile doesn't look like he has that killer smile. So that's tell me in your mind what's a killer smile.
You have to be able to me, it's like, it's what's in, you already know it's in, you can see it in the eyes. The smile is anybody smiles, but it's what's, you can see in the eyes of a person when they have that the killer look.
Yeah.
And people know it. People know when they see it.
Yeah, because you could be looking at them, and if somebody took a picture, it looked like they were happy and smiling. But the way you're seeing it is, I'm crazy in here, and I
Uh-huh.
want you to see that I'm crazy in here, right?
And you're done. You're a done deal. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, I could see where people would get off on that power.
Yeah, it is. It's power.
Yeah. So it starts out with that. Then what was the next thing? First, I'm going to take care of this girl got raped. I know who did it. This is nowhere near as bad as what he did. He deserves to be in jail, right?
Right. And
Okay, so then what
it
happened?
it just became an easy thing for me to get rid of I would get complaints from the apartment manager that there's so much drugs and gang violence in their whole apartment complexes and they're selling drugs. So I I do my little sting operation, grab them, put the dope on each one of them because I would observe them for like 30 minutes selling the drugs. But then I know that if I approach them, they're going to run until the dope out. So we just approach them, put the dope on them, and then just book them and get rid of them. Start getting rid of them, and the apartments will start wiping down the apartments from all the other narcotics and gang activity.
Right.
No
And
complaints.
so are you comfortable sharing what percentage of the cops would do stuff like this and crash? If you're
Um,
not, it's no big deal.
it's not a big deal. Back then you're working with your partner, and you and him are in cahoots for certain things. But
Right.
every other officer, there's 21 crash officers, so two officers are assigned to one gang, two officers are assigned for another gang. So they're doing their own thing. You know what they're doing. They're all doing their own thing too. You're not involved in it, but you know that they're all doing it too.
Okay. So you would say all of them.
Pretty much all of them. During that time, back then it
Right.
was all of them.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right.
Well, I
Maybe
mean,
one. Oh, wait a minute. I'm gonna recant that. There was one guy who was actually. I found out he was a Christian. He wasn't doing none of that.
Oh.
I remember that guy too. He was against everything that we stood for, and I didn't understand him then. But once I gave my life to the Lord, he stood firm and he didn't bend the rules. He wouldn't beat
Set
nobody
people up.
up.
Right.
He stood his ground, and I really that I know all this, I was like, wow, that guy was actually serious about his walk. But we stayed away from him because we go, no, this guy's not doing what we're doing. Just stay away from him.
Yeah. It's like somebody that stays a virgin before they get married.
Yeah,
That's some serious faith right there.
that's
For
right.
real. All right. So what were you going to say, Sharna?
I was just going to say, with all the strategy about the witches and the, getting curses specifically for people and cops, it seems like, I mean, and maybe there is this organized side on the other side, but if there's not, I'm like, why are we not having like intercessory prayer groups and or churches that can be assigned to each cop or each fireman or each
Each block.
agent or each,
That's a good idea. I always thought
mean,
about that.
it's like, I feel like, I mean, how many people even know? I'm like surprised, and I've heard a lot about a lot of things, but that part is surprising to me, and it shouldn't be, but it seems like sometimes we're just sitting around singing Kumbaya and like teaching Bible stories while we're drinking Kool-Aid or whatever, and they're out there like literally,
Work in the
hardcore.
streets.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So like,
Yeah.
for
to
sure.
me, if this is like a call to action to anyone listening, if you are involved in intercessory prayer of any kind, to like start arming up some groups to get behind these guys who are doing some things to help, clean up the
So
streets.
good. I
I
love
agree
that.
with that.
Yes.
I want that. I want that too, because that's something I thought about when I was in prison all those years. I thought about all the different ways we could make a difference through prayer and fasting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how long were you in prison?
I did 16 years out of 18.
Jeez.
Wow. And Ruben, so after you're the one putting half the people in jail. So did you get put in Gen Pop and like have a lot of stuff to face when you got there?
So I did. The first 3 months I was in isolation because my co-defendants told on me right away. So I'm glad that I went to isolation right away, because that's how I met the ex-house angel that read the Bible to me and introduced me to Jesus. That was the best part about that, because I was suicidal. I was at the point where, not to kill myself, but I was the kind of person that I wanted to go out on a bang, and I was going to shoot it out with everybody that told on me, and I was going to till I was killed, whatever. That was my frame of mind. When he preached the gospel to me that day, he something happened within me that I started feeling like there was a real God and there was something better for me in life, and God was going to give me an opportunity to get my life back, or get it right, actually.
You know what's
Get
so
on.
interesting about that? The ones that I've worked with my charity, One Heart, they literally were just like you. It almost happened when they first got into jail. Like somebody came and showed up that they, from their church that, they used to totally be so rude to, that, one of
Mhm.
the only people that show up, no one in their gang showed up, that they brought him a Bible. They were so thankful for it. And it just starts like from day one almost. That's so cool how God's like right there
I'm
for you.
I'm glad, because he knew where I was going. I was ready, and that guy read the scriptures to me. And then I surrendered my life to Jesus during that time, and then I got put in general population. And I prayed. I said, "Look, I want to be used by you wherever I'm at." So I know that what I feel forgiven. I feel good about my forgiveness, but I know that's not it. That's not everything. But I also want to be able to share this with other people in here. And I know your
Yeah.
Bible, the scripture said you're going to put my enemies at peace with me, and I believe you. So I walked out in general population, and honestly, he did. He started putting my enemies at peace with me. I was honest with everybody. I tell the truth, and now people either liked me or they didn't. Either you want to try to beat me up or jump me, or you're not. But it didn't matter to me. I was like, hey, I've been through worse. This is nothing. I was like, violence is my drug. I said, this is something I like. So I'll try not to. I said, Father, help me not get involved with this violent stuff. But I want to preach. And he started using me in there a
Oh,
lot.
that's so cool. That's so cool. Well, we're getting down to the end of the hour, and I would love to have you come back because I feel like we haven't really gone through how that street justice, got you all the way to the point. We don't know what happened when you got arrested. Are you open to coming back?
I'm open. Yeah, let me know what
Yeah.
day we can set it up.
Okay, cool. And so before we go, I would just love for you to maybe share with people like if they know anyone that's kind of going down the wrong road, or how you think maybe that one Christian guy that was in your crash unit, like how somebody like that might be able to have gotten through to someone like you.
Truthfully, the best advice I can give is whoever is walking with Jesus already and serving him as a police officer, your testimony, your example, the way you carry yourself is gonna help other people be attracted to you, what you have.
Yes.
Because a lot of people do need help. They just don't know who to go to. They're scared to open up and tell somebody what they're going through. And it's more like a fear and shame to admit that there's something going on inside and they need help. Or
Yeah.
also trusting somebody. Trusting somebody's big. You have to be able to trust that person. Another big key things as first responders, police officers, military is having somebody you could trust to open up to. Being that person that you could be trusted.
Yeah.
And don't be judgmental.
No,
The
that's the worst. That's the worst. That's like
yes,
to me the worst kind of Christian is the ones that are judgmental and like, ah, you're missing it. They're
you're
supposed to
missing it.
be the judgment comes with love.
Yes,
So I agree with Sharnael that there should be maybe some sort of call to action for people to pray for that hellish 8 mile space. Can you tell us exactly what towns or what town that is or what blocks that is so that anyone who just would love to pray over that area can begin to do so?
it's Alvarado Street, Sunset, Wilshire Boulevard, all those areas, MacArthur Park area. It's west of downtown LA. It's called the Rampart
Okay.
District, Rampart Division area.
Okay, Rampart.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Would you mind saying a prayer to close us out? Unless Sharnael, do you have any questions for him?
No, I'm excited to have you back, and thank you so much for your time. It's just been amazing. So much new information and thank you. Just thank you.
And Ruben, where do
Well,
people
we're
find
looking forward
you?
to getting together.
Yeah. Where
Right
do people
now,
find you?
I have an email address right now. It's Ruben at brethrenmma.com.
Brethren
MMA.com.
MMA.com. And my friend Mac, who's out of jail, I invited him also to be on here with us today, and he couldn't be here. So
Okay.
hopefully the next one, I'll make sure we schedule so that he can get on the conversation too. It'll be fun.
Sounds good. I'll be looking forward to it.
Ruben. Okay, so then we'll end in prayer.
Okay. Father, thank you for this opportunity for us to fellowship, also share our ideas, your knowledge you've given us, and also team up to do those prayers for the communities in Rampart and other divisions, Father, because the departments need a lot of help. We need a bridge so that the communities and police officers can work with each other, trust each other, and there could be healing, Father. We need healing. And thank you for my sisters here as you bless them and use them to keep them safe, protected. Every one of us here from all sickness, harm, and accident, our families. And thank you for your angels that encamp around all of us. And thank you for covering with the blood of your son. We praise you and thank you, Father. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. And then, Sharnael, I forgot. I need to let you tell everybody where they can find you as well.
Oh, okay. I'm at Swiftfire Ministries International, swiftfire.org. Swift as in quickfire.org. And my resources there, my teachings, all my books, classes. I'm a naturopath and minister. I have podcasts. You guys can find me. Just Google my name and you can find me.
She's everywhere.
Google Swiftfire.
And
Yeah.
she's on Twitter too.
I'm on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all the things. Just Dr. Sharnael. Yeah.
It's a good thing about your
And
name is
you
it's
could give her
unique.
my number too.
Awesome.
Okay, I will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
because you guys want
perfect.
to set up something on her channel.
Thank you
Okay,
so much.
bye everybody.
Sounds
Have a
good.
great weekend.
Have a great day. Bye.
You
Thank you,
too.
Carmen.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank
Bye.
you, Ruben.
Bye.